Good evening, fine folk of the rebellion and people that have just tuned in for the first time. Welcome to the Recce Report. This is show number 24. I am former Army Corporal Cliff Purvis.
And I'm former Army Warrant Officer Russ. Thank you for joining us. 24 episodes, Cliff. I say this every time, mate, but I can't believe the.
I know. Oh, it's always a pleasure doing these things. It really is. Yeah, I do look forward to this monthly incursion.
And it's been quiet on the politics front again, isn't it, since last? But you know what it is, mate? I think we need to we're on the wrong week. We come in every month, right? But things always happen 2 weeks before we're on, didn't they? 2 weeks after we've been on and 2 weeks before we come on. So, but I guarantee if we change it, that would still happen.
Of course it would. Of course it would. Yes. So as far as Scottish politics is concerned, obviously the lead story has to be the change in the SNP leadership. And with that, Scotland has a new First Minister. And if you just listened to the propaganda outlets, and I refuse to call them newspapers, the propaganda outlets, it was all doom and gloom. You know, the Scotland's on its third First Minister in 3,000 years or something along that lines. Yeah, they have about 3 a week down in Westminster, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, we've had so he's our third First Minister since the SNP took power.
Yeah.
That's still not as much as the Tories have had in the last 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it just, I think, highlights the moral corruption that is rife within the Westminster parties and within their puppets in Fleet Street. If Fleet Street is still a thing, I don't know. They all moved out to Wapping, didn't they? It's not doom and gloom. So what do you think of the choice then? What do you think of John?
So we had this conversation before, mate, didn't we? So John Swinney's been leader once before, has he not? Not First Minister, but he's been leader. I'm pretty sure he was Salmond, then him, then back to Salmond again at one point. I don't know, he may be the best person for the job. I was hoping that they were going to go for some fresh blood. But then I look around who we have in Holyrood, and I don't actually think we've got any fresh blood in there, mate. That's why I think people were porting people like Stephen Flynn and Mary Black. But the truth is, you can't be First Minister if you're not an MSP.
Yeah, exactly. And I have been saying on other outlets and this show that we need someone that's dynamic. We need a leader. And remember, a leader doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with everything they say. They just, by their sheer presence, they get the job done.
Yeah.
I was desperately trying to think of someone to go in there, and I'm having difficulty with my laptop here, buddy. There we go. Right. Yes, medic pushing buttons again. So I like yourself, I was hunting for this dynamic character that could, re-energize.
Yeah. Kick ass was the less diplomatic way of saying it, mate, is what I would have said. But yeah.
I do love you, Russ. I really do. Absolutely. We need, take names, kick ass. All right.
Yeah. William Black's commented there that John Swinney made a mess of education and was losing members, and then Alex Salmond had to come in and steady the boat. And that would have been, I don't know what year that was. I remember it vaguely. I remember it was mediocre, I think, when he was in before. Now, that's not to say he's not going to do a good job this time. He's older, wiser now, and maybe that's the thing for the job. But even then, if you look at the other party leaders at Holyrood, he's still head and shoulders above them, isn't he?
Well, yeah, that I think says more about the dearth of decent politicians
Yeah.
put up by the Westminster parties. Anybody at all with any credibility or any ability either stands for a very, very safe Westminster seat in Scotland, or is shipped south, and they go for it that way.
And unless an election coming up, in which case the MPs from the south suddenly get transplanted up into Scotland to stand for the unionist parties, don't they?
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That somebody from Somerset or something is going to have to be a councillor or an MP, MSP in the west of Scotland. You're like, all right. And somebody pointed it out on social media, and they said, well, that's racist. No, it's not racist to point out that the person who's standing for your local constituency is not local.
Yeah. Again, I cannot stand racism, and I think both of us have seen it.
Yeah.
To its horrible example. But yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Russ. We are allowed to pass comment. What is someone from Somerset? What local knowledge have they got? What ability to speak to someone from the west coast of Scotland?
And the reason I remember, because it was a couple of years ago, they were looking. My local SNP branch was looking for nominations to stand in the council elections. Right, and one of the names it put up, I messaged him and said, "Mate, do you live in this ward?" And then he blocked me because he didn't live in the ward. So he's lived in the same town, lived in the same constituency, just didn't live in the ward in which he was going to stand. And there's me getting all hot and bothered about somebody that was from here but only lived like a mile up the road from me. Meanwhile, Labour are transplanting people from 400 miles away.
Yeah. See,
I'm such an idiot. I'm so naive, mate, aren't I?
There's many labels could be laid at your door, buddy, and that's not one of them. See, what the rationale behind that will be is Somerset's a rural area, west coast of Scotland is rural, so they'll have that rural bondship going on. No, Somerset.
I was going to say, good comment here from Evelyn. I think there's three now, one from Canterbury. The first question to each should be, what is devolved and what is reserved? And I think that's a really good point, Evelyn. However, the people that are already here don't even know that.
Yeah.
Standing for the unionist parties, you constantly hear it in Holyrood and Westminster and on the doorsteps and the councils. They don't know. Yeah. It's any stick to beat the Scottish government, to be honest.
Yeah. And the best one, or the fallback position for that big stick is broadband. There's so many areas in Scotland still not hooked up. It's not a devolved issue. Scottish government have invested in it purely because if they didn't, it'd be a worse state than what it is. As for the roads, well, we are playing catch up in 300 and odd years of zero infrastructure sorting out from Westminster. Holyrood can't do it in one session. It's going to take years for Scottish infrastructure to get anywhere near where it should be. But that will only happen on the independence, because at this moment in time, the Westminster parties are going to just strip Holyrood to hollow shell.
Of course, mate. I mean, the Tories run the way out. We know that. And I'm saying that.
No, they're not. Keir Starmer's going to win.
I'm saying that. I was the guy that was adamant that Trump was never going to get elected president in 2016. Because people are not that stupid. And now I'm learning that people are that stupid. So I'm hoping the Tories are going to get voted out. But as you say, Keir Starmer, it's two cheeks of the same arse, as they say. What's he going to do differently? He's fully behind Brexit. He's fully behind all the anti-immigration shit that's coming out. What's the difference?
There's nothing. There's no difference I can tell between what Keir Starmer is saying. And let's remember, he's a knight of the realm, for grief's sake. Yeah. So is he going to reform the Lords? No, because that's where he's going to end up. Him and his buddies. So there'll be no reform of the second chamber. why on earth would we want a democratic second chamber?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the second biggest unelected chamber after the People's Republic of China?
Yep, and it's a sad reflection that there's probably more democracy in the People's Republic of China than there is in UK at the present.
Yeah.
Yes, so we've got the new First Minister of Scotland. We have the new leader in the SNP. But to be brutally honest, Russ, and I have to be honest, I've always tried over these years to keep myself an honest broker on these things. I just can't see this infusion of enthusiasm from the top, with new ideas, fresh ideas, a bold spirit. I just can't see it happening. And there's a few veterans I've been chatting to are now resigned to the fact that independence won't happen in their lifetime, which is a heck of a beat down from where we were a couple of years ago.
And it may be, as I say, there's going to be a general election before there's a Scottish election. And that's what happened last time. We sent our brightest and the best, really, I think, down to Westminster. That's not to say we didn't have good people in Holyrood, but we sent people down there like Mary Black and Stephen Flynn. And then when the Scottish election came up, we're like, actually, a lot of the people have gone down there. So how do we do it? Do people not stand for Westminster? Do we? Because if we lose even one seat, that's going to be painted as by the Unionists as independence off the table for another generation.
Yeah, exactly. And we are caught between a rock and a hard place in this one. As much as we all loathe Westminster, we have to return as many members of Parliament as possible, even if they just go down and walk out. And I'd love to see that. I'm now at that stage, and I was against this idea for so long. But after that, the corruption of the Speaker of the House of Commons over the Gaza ceasefire.
Yeah, completely broke protocol and changed the rules.
Yeah, after that, I am now, it's elect MPs of independent stature to the House of Commons. They walk in, they do not take the oath, and they walk out again. Because that will send a message around the world. And that's why we need to return as many MPs who support independence as absolutely possible. And at this moment in time, that is only one party, and that's the SNP. I can't see any other party gaining enough traction, especially the one I think we're going to be talking about fairly shortly.
Yeah. And I think the feeling is, and maybe we need to get away from this from the SNP, is that they get to be the kingmakers. Is that Labour fall short of a majority, and then have to strike up a deal. But we all know that Labour will strike up a deal with will strike up a deal with anyone apart from the SNP if they can get away with it. It would have to be an absolute necessity. And what would they concede for that? The concession the SNP would ask for would be another independence referendum. We know that. It'd be an interesting take. But it's one of these things. It's like Scotland in the World Cup, mate. It's the mathematics. We have to rely on Uruguay beating Venezuela 19-0 in order to go through, don't we?
Yeah.
That's the Scottish mentality. You just have to sit and do the sums to work out if it's feasible.
Yeah, it's I mean, me and you're very much of the same mind on this, and we're also very much from the same background. And it's let's keep things simple. Simple things work.
Yeah.
So let's just return as many MPs as possible, and then just see what happens. Sorry, folks, if I'm a bit echoey at the moment, it's because we've just done a refurb in the veterans bunker, and I've got no sound deadening devices in as yet, which I'm sure my neighbours.
Somebody's robbed all your sandbags, mate. You need to get some more in there.
Yeah.
That's unreal. So just talking about handing over from from one Tory to a Tory light. I don't know if you've seen it in the news today that that the King has just handed over as Colonel-in-Chief of the Army Air Corps to Prince William, who's now the Colonel-in-Chief of the Army Air Corps. And I read that and I thought, if only he had a son who actually served in the Army Air Corps.
Yeah. Yeah. Did a couple of tours as well. Yeah.
Was it? Do you know, if I maybe name rhymes with Barry.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the world's #1 dysfunctional family. And again, I never set off in this campaign as being a Republican. But I certainly am now. It's everything that comes out of the palace just reinforces my ideas.
You're right. We've got an interesting question here, mate.
Yeah.
From an interesting question here from William Black, who's asking, can you actually tell me who within the SNP 100% supports independence before gender politics? That's brilliant, mate. That takes us on to what we're going to talk about anyway. Do you know what? Everyone, mate. The only people obsessed with gender politics are the minor parties that struggle to get over 2% in the polls. So thank you so much for your question, and I'm really glad you gave me a chance to answer that on air. So thanks for calling. Tell your friends. We're here all week.
And I'm so glad Russ took that one on, because he is more diplomatic at that than I will ever be. Yes. Talking of small parties that want to try and big themselves up. Have they actually destroyed what little credibility they had by voting in favour of a no confidence vote in the Scottish government as tabled by a Westminster party?
I think it's an aspect of that. Neville made a good comment there. Should all votes count, even those are minorities? You're absolutely right. All votes count. So why waste them? Why waste them on a party? It's like the people that voted for the far right parties. It's a wasted vote. Voting for the far left parties is a wasted vote. There's no real chance they're going to get in. The truth is these minority parties don't have any elected representatives. Yes, they have one MSP and a couple of MPs, but they weren't elected. They jumped ship.
Yeah.
And we talk about the no confidence motion, mate. And one of these people who say all votes count used that vote to vote against the Scottish government, didn't they?
Yeah. And the most petulant act I've ever seen happening. Obviously doing it on orders from above.
Yeah. And who could we possibly be talking about, mate?
Yeah.
Individual here who actually, because of those actions, gets the great honour of being Union of the Week. So thank you very much for that, for using that important vote to use it as a student politics protest vote. Well done.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, I just know what the inbox is going to be like tonight. Oh, I love it. I really do love it. We do not set out to cause controversy. We just happen to enjoy it when it happens. Because we, like everybody else, are entitled to our opinion. Unlike most people, we've set ourselves up above the parapet, and we are quite willing to talk about these things openly and in front of lots and lots of different people. Yes, so time will tell what damage they have done to themselves. Now, MOD getting hacked.
Oh yeah, I don't know. So for those that don't know, apparently the Ministry of Defence mainframe or something was hacked, and they reckon it's by the Chinese. So they've effectively got all. From what I can gather, they've got personal details. They've got names, addresses, and bank details of not just serving soldiers, but of the veterans that receive army pensions as well. So you and I, Cliff, mate, our name's on a Chinese hit list now.
Yay!
So
No, boo.
that's awesome. And you think so for all and I was saying this before. This is what makes me laugh. So all of those that think that 77 Brigade, the cyber warfare experts, they can't even protect the data that we already hold on stuff. So I don't know what makes you think they're any good at influencing any other shit. They're probably just paying Google ads or something. That's 77 Brigade, mate. Upvoting Elon Musk Twitter feed. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's I mean, how often do you have to talk me through computer stuff?
More than once, mate.
There you go. Yeah, and that was a medic.
Oh,
So
always good, mate.
Yes, but I do so love it when I'm accused of being 77 Brigade as well.
Yeah.
That was actually 77 Brigade.
Yeah. When it was actually a brigade, you mean? And not just two guys in a basement.
No, MOD cuts. It's leaner, but meaner.
I think people, because we serve, mate, and I think people struggle to kind of understand really how incompetent most of it was. Honestly, I once got into a highly classified naval station. Because I was so pissed that I flashed my ID card and walked in, and it was only when I got to the block I realised it wasn't my ID card. It was a membership card for the local nightclub. That's how secure that base was.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, was it the third shock army we faced over in?
All the Russians had to do was invade at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and everyone in Germany would have been so shite-faced from the night before, mate. They'd have let them in. Wave at the guy on the gate, he'll lift the barrier. No, I'm sure it's changed. I'm sure we're way more security conscious now, than at the time when we were under constant threat from dissident Republican groups.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've got pulled our socks up now. We're so better at it. Oh no, because we've just been hacked by the Chinese.
Yeah.
I'm off on a rant now, mate. You need to stop me.
No, not at all, Russ. Not at all. Because if anything, it's just what you're doing there is just putting out the good folk listening into this, watching this. That let's not overcredit a military organization with abilities that they just do not have. Yeah. 77 Brigade are probably like every other unit in the British Army. Underfunded.
They will. There'll be an intelligence gathering unit, mate. I'd be very surprised if they were involved in any sort of influence rather than sort of garner. I mean, they could try it, but we've all seen how easy it is to influence social media, mate. You don't need an army unit to do that. You just need some disaffected idiot in his mum's basement.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Is that where Putin is now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, so the MOD hacked, and I believe the third party that got hacked had these details, our details.
Mm-hmm.
Took a couple of weeks before they admitted they had a problem. Yeah. So somebody in that Conservative and Unionist Party gave them the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how much that cost. But there will be not one single person from that government will take the hit in this one.
I'm going to be honest, mate. If they discover how to navigate JPA, then we should probably recruit them.
Yeah, you want to explain that to the listeners, buddy?
JPA is the Joint Personnel Admin System used by the Army. It's an off-the-shelf piece of crap that they bought. Probably about 20 years ago now.
Right.
Which replaced the other crap piece of shit off-the-shelf stuff we had for the 20 years before that. It manages pay and allowances and various other admin tasks. It's not interesting, not sexy, but unless it's been hacked by the Chinese.
So basically, if it's that off the shelf, all they had to do, they wouldn't even have had to raise their game to get into it.
Oh, you probably download the source code, mate, off the internet anywhere.
Unlike those helicopters that the Brits bought and the Americans when they give them the code.
And that's because we didn't pay for the source code. That's why.
Yeah, another MOD procurement problem.
Yeah.
Talking of which, on a daily basis, I'm passing the good ship Queen Bess, still tied up in dry dock in Rosyth. Shouldn't she be out projecting force somewhere?
Allegedly, mate. Allegedly. Britannia waves the rules. I mean, rules the waves.
Yeah.
That's how it works, mate.
Yeah. No, anymore it doesn't. You notice why we have stopped practicing gunboat diplomacy?
Because we don't have any gunboats.
We don't have any gunboats, exactly.
We have no gunboats, mate.
Yeah. Right, what are we on?
We've got a couple of minutes left. There's a bit of a Barney, a conflab on the comments at the minute. I don't know what it's about, but someone's trying to back something up by saying Elon Musk also claimed it was racist. I'm like, really? If your argument is dependent on what Elon Musk said, mate, I'm sorry, you've lost it. Elon Musk lost the plot a long time ago.
Yeah, he's further out there than most of his rockets.
Yeah, definitely, mate. He's oh my God. He's living embodiment of what happens when people don't hold you to account. And you've got more money than sense.
Yeah, was it? They used to be never told off for pulling the legs off insects. Now they just don't get told off because they've got too much money.
Yeah.
Right. So MOD hacked. Sticking with that theme, we have just had the 79th anniversary of Victory in Europe Day.
VE Day last week, mate, wasn't it? Was it the 8th of May? Am I right? Or am I missing it up? Was it 6th of May?
6th, I think.
So a week ago.
Yeah.
Yes, 79th anniversary of VE Day, Victory in Europe.
Yeah. And that means it's going to be the 80th one next year, which means there'll be so much flaggery on the go. It'll be unbelievable.
Jingoism. Some jingoism, mate. That's what we need. Some jingoism with a splattering of xenophobia.
Yeah.
It's always good, mate.
Yeah, and that'll be all from Keir Starmer and his salt of the earth MP.
Yeah, jingoism, xenophobia, and a soup son of racism thrown in for the mix. Always good when the jacks come out, isn't it?
Oh, it's cringeworthy, absolutely cringeworthy. I was down in London a couple of weeks back. Very, very fortunately, there was very few jacks on display. The area I was in. Oh, I wasn't looking forward to it. But hey ho, if that's what they like to do, that's what they like to do. But then they're those the first to complain when they see a saltire flying. I'm sitting there going, no, you can't really have yours flying and then complain we've got ours flying. Right, buddy. Let's try and get a positive out of this one.
We are, mate. So what's the positive? The positive is we're still here. We're still angry. We still want change to happen. We're not going to get it from the Tories, obviously. We're probably not going to get it from Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. The closest we've ever been to independence was 10 years ago this year with the upcoming independence referendum, and we need to get there again. However that's managed, I don't know. Maybe we need to be a little bit more disruptive in Westminster. Maybe we need to be a little bit more bold in Holyrood.
Yeah.
But we shall see where that takes us. So the positive is we're still here. We're not going away anytime soon.
Yeah. I agree totally. Yeah. A little bit downbeat, but not down and out. That's for sure.
We're absolutely there. And it's that time, mate. We've got to the end of our allotted time for today again. I want to thank everyone for coming along and listening to us. And thanks for the comments. They're always welcome. It keeps us on our toes, and you'll notice we tend not to shy away from any questions or comments. because we are ex-soldiers and we will talk crap to anyone that wants to hear us. We absolutely will.
Right. Okay, folks, that's another show just about finished up. Let's keep the faith in this one. Yeah, we know our future can be bright. We know that independence is right.
Sarah Alba. Take care, everyone. Be
Cheers,
good.
folks.